You could become a great horseman and help free yourself and this world, though only if you, in prayer, become sweet lovers. It is a naive man who does not think we are engaged in a fierce battle. For I see and hear brave foot soldiers all around me going mad. And falling on the ground in excruciating pain. You could become a victorious horseman and carry your heart through this world like a life-giving sun. Though only if you and the Great Spirit become sweet lovers.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Good evening, devotees. I welcome you all for this Bhagavad Gita, Gita made easy.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandar pranams. Hare Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So we will go into, today we are going to discuss from chapter 5 from Bhagavad Gita as it is. So 1 minute, yeah. So we are discussing from the book Bhagavad Gita as it is. Translation purport given by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. For more information, you can always refer to this book because this course is based on this purport of Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So first, before going to this chapter 5, let us offer our humble prayers to Lord Shri Krishna so that we may be enlightened by His teachings, inspired by His teachings, and get strength to follow His teachings. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimarandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Savadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamcha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpataribhascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desatarine Mugam Karoti Vachalam Pankundlangete Krivatpata Mande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitaneshwaram Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So once again, welcome you all devotees. So we are going to discuss today from Bhagavad Gita 5, Karma Yoga, or we can say action in Krishna consciousness. So last week we have discussed chapter 4, that is Jnana Yoga or transcendental knowledge, where from chapter 3, Krishna speaks about Kama, the lust, how lust is covering our intelligence. So in order to overcome our lust, Krishna speaks about transcendental knowledge. By the power of transcendental knowledge, we can actually purify ourselves from this eternal enemy called lust. So the whole chapter goes like this, chapter 4. The Lord telling Arjuna that how to get this transcendental knowledge. Whenever we do some sacrifice, this kind of sacrifices which is recommended by various we see various ashramas, like the brahmacharis do certain kind of sacrifice, the grahasthas do certain type of sacrifice. One of the example for the grahastha is when they do some sense control, some tapasya, they get transcendental knowledge. So that will culminate in transcendental knowledge. And also Krishna introduced 3 concepts called akarma, karma, and vikarma. So one is action in inaction and inaction in action. So there are 2 things, like when you renounce the fruits of the work, still if you do act, that is actually inaction in action. So the examples are given. So that concept is akarma, vikarma, prohibited acts. Akarma means activities which will not result in reaction to us. And then karma. Okay, so these concepts were introduced in the 4th chapter by Krishna. And also, in important thing is 4.41, Krishna also glorifies the transcendental knowledge, is jnana, and also at the same time, he is glorifying renunciation also. So at the end of this 4th chapter, Krishna says, okay, Arjuna, you got the transcendental knowledge. You know what is yoga now, because we have been discussing about karma yoga, jnana yoga. Now stand and fight, because this is still before the fight. This discussion is going on before the fight. Now, hearing this whole conversation on chapter 4, Arjuna is getting the same doubt like which he had in the chapter after hearing chapter 2. After chapter 2, Krishna said about Buddhi Yoga, about intelligence. So in the beginning of chapter 3, same question Arjuna asked, that you are saying intelligence is better, but still again you are telling me to fight. Why don't we do like intelligently retire and why to fight? Because it will incur sins for me. Same concept again, what happens when Krishna is saying that renunciation is also good. The word renunciation means you renounce everything. So then again, Arjuna second time is getting a doubt after hearing the 4th chapter. So what is Arjuna's understanding? Arjuna, you can see on the right side of the top side of the slide, Arjuna's understanding is renunciation in knowledge. Now you got the knowledge and you know about the renunciation. That means Arjuna thinks you should stop all kinds of activities, because it is performed for your as a sense activity. And Arjuna also thinks one side you are saying to work. Work means fighting is actually what Arjuna is referring as work. One side you are glorifying work is very important. And also one side you are saying renunciation. It appears incompatible. Because where is work? Krishna is saying in 4.42, Krishna is saying armed with yoga, stand and fight. That is Krishna's instruction conclusion. That is work. At the same time, 4.41, Krishna says jnana and renunciation is very good, glorifies. So it is for Arjuna, it is incompatible. Work means engage, renunciation means renouncing. How both will come together? Which is good? Which is better? So understanding now, Arjuna is not understanding at this juncture now. You have to work in full knowledge, which is we have to work in devotional service with the jnana. When you work in the devotional mood or with the knowledge of devotion or the devotional service, then that becomes akarma. Akarma means you do the activity, but there is no reaction. That is a secret. Because in this world, we cannot live without working. But as soon as you start working, every activity has a reaction. So if you get reaction, then you will keep on taking body to enjoy or suffer the papa or punya. Now, how we can do? We have to do work. At the same time, we should not get reaction. That understanding Arjuna is lacking as of now. So the chapter 5 is again the elaboration of the third chapter of Karma Yoga in more detail, in more practical aspects. Krishna want to explain little more in detail because Arjuna still did not get the point of work and renunciation. He is confused with that. So chapter 5, the first verse begins with Arjuna asking a question again. Same way like third chapter, he had a question in the beginning. The whole third chapter comes. Same way in the chapter 5, Arjuna is beginning this chapter by asking a question. Which is better, Krishna? You tell me. Work in devotion. Whether I have to work in devotion, that is Bhakti Yoga, or I have to renounce the work. Out of these two, which is better? Renunciation of work. Because both Krishna glorifies in 4.41. Now Krishna will detail about the process of how to achieve the liberation, means mukti, through the process of Karma Yoga. If you do the activity by adopting Karma Yoga, how you can achieve mukti? Mukti means what? You are escaping from the repeated cycle of birth and death. So all these categories are discussed here. We know that already. Krishna is telling Nishkama Karma is equal to renouncing work. Renouncing work means Nishkama Karma means what? You are doing activity, but at the same time, you don't desire anything for your own result. Like I don't expect the result, but I am doing as a duty. So that is called Nishkama Karma. Nishkama means no karma. No karma means I don't have any desire to enjoy the results, but I am doing it as a duty with a selfless motive. That is actually equal to renouncing work also. If you somebody renouncing work also, both are equal. But Krishna is saying Nishkama Karma is actually more easier than renouncing, because we know we cannot sit idly for a long time. We are active persons. Basically, the soul is active in nature. So renouncing work means you cannot simply sit in a place without doing anything, because they say idle mind is devil's workshop. Unless we are purified to a very Paramamsa platform, we should not renounce the work. So that's why Nishkama Karma is equal to renounce work, but at the same time, Nishkama Karma is easier. So Nishkama Karma, Krishna recommends that you perform the activity with one thing, with knowledge, which is 4th chapter Jnana Yoga, with the detachment, without any attachment to the fruits of work. So like that, Krishna is taking this chapter, and also Krishna is saying, giving much more detail. When we say that there are doers, we think that I am only doing everything. I am the karta. No, Krishna is saying there are 3 doers. Whenever an activity is performed, there are actually 3 persons involved in that. 3 principles are involved. That also we are going to see. And how we can attain liberation through focusing our consciousness on the super soul, which is accompanying the soul within the body. And also Krishna, because in chapter 6, it is called as Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga means you are going to do some meditation. Okay. So Krishna is giving a glimpse about that in the end of this 5th chapter called Ashtanga Yoga. Just a preview. 1 or 2 verses is talking about Ashtanga Yoga. And the last verse is 5.29. There are 29 verses in this chapter. The last verse actually, Krishna is speaking about how a person can achieve peace in this world. The peace formula. They say this sloka is called as the peace formula. We are always hankering for the peace. The United Nations is set for establishing the peace in the world. So how to attain the peace from spiritual perspective, Krishna is giving the simple formula how to attain peace in this disturbed world. Okay, so that is what we are going to see now. So we are going to see who are the doers. When we say an activity is there, we know the visibly that we are doing, but behind the screen, like we know when there is a movie, we see only the hero, heroine, or some characters, but behind the screen, there are a lot of people. There's a director. There are so many people supporting the movie. Like that, in front of the screen, we are the doer, but behind the screen, who are the actual doers? We are going to see that in this today's chapter. And if a person is evolved in spiritually, if he is matured, how his vision will be throughout by seeing this world? Because the world is same, but a person who is in material consciousness, he sees the world differently. But whereas a person in spiritual consciousness, his vision is different. So the software is different. Even though the world is same, when our inner consciousness changes, our outward perspective also will change. So that also we are going to see today. And as I said, peace formula is the last verse in today's chapter. So as we know, Bhagavad Gita is little difficult to understand. So here we are trying to discuss Gita as made easy. So Gita made easy means we want to understand this chapter in a very easy way. That's why we need Acharya's commentaries. Without that, if we cannot do a self-study about Bhagavad Gita and understand, unless there are saintly personalities who have dedicated their life for, in connection to God, in serving the Lord. And when they explain us, then only we can understand Bhagavad Gita. So it is not that Bhagavad Gita we buy for 200 rupees, we sit in the home and try to understand. No, it is not possible like that, Bhagavad Gita. We need the Acharya's explanation and their, wisdom. Then only we can understand. So in that way, we are going to see with help of the Acharya's commentaries, what is this Karma Yoga, which Krishna is talking about, action in Krishna consciousness. And also we know that this Karma Yoga is repeated from 3rd chapter, also again 5th chapter also. The first 6 chapters are discussing in detail about Karma Yoga. So that's why it is coming again and again. When we go from 7th chapter, the more stress will be given on Bhakti Yoga. The last 6 chapters, the more elaboration will be on Jnana Yoga. So Karma Yoga, let us see what we are going to discuss in today's chapter in an acronym format. So that will make us very easy to understand. So basically, we are active beings constantly making plans for the future. When we are sitting, also we are thinking, when I will settle back in my country, what I should do tomorrow, what I should do next year. We are constantly making plans. There are so many thoughts passing through our mind, every day. 60,000 thoughts, they say. So it keep on comes in front of our mind screen. Like in a computer screen, we see so many things. So many thoughts come. So many plans we are making for our future. Our thoughts, what happens? When you say, there is a saying, watch your thoughts, they become your action. Okay. So the thoughts manifest into action. Today, what we are thinking, it will be manifested into action today or tomorrow. So watch your thoughts, they become your action. And watch your action, whatever repeated action you're doing, that will form our habits. So that is forming our habit, which is very important. So thoughts form actions and the action forms into habits. And watch your habits, whatever habit we are doing, that habit will make us as our character. So thoughts to action, action to action, repeated action forms our habit, and the habit all together as a concise forms our character. That makes our character. And if you have good habits, we have good character. If you have bad habits, we have bad character. And what does that character do? And that character will determine our destiny. What kind of character you have? If you have divine character, you go back to God. If you have demonic character, we either go into the lower worlds or we again come into this material world to suffer many more problems. So the character is very important, which determines our destiny. So as there is a famous saying, which is quoted by Teilhard de Chardin, that we are not human beings on a spiritual journey, but rather we are spiritual beings on a human journey. So we are thinking we are human beings, now we are taking some spiritual subject. No, that is not true. We are actually souls, spirit souls. We are spiritual beings. We are experiencing the human form of life now. We had experienced before different life, but now as a spirit soul, I am having a human body and I am having a human experience. So every journey starts with a step. Our journey starts with a step. So in chapter 5, Krishna explains how to take steps in a right direction. Because if you remember the first chapter itself, we said that Bhagavad Gita is about like a Google map. It will give us our direction. Not only it gives us a direction, it also gives us our destination. So there are two things, direction and a destination. So Krishna is talking about the right direction which we have to take for a right destination. So there are steps leading to the further entanglement in worldly complexities, where there are also steps leading to life of liberation, freedom, and tranquility. So according to the step we take, either we can get further entangled, like if you see insect is getting into the spider's web. The more it will move its body, the more the fibers, it's getting entangled more and more. And the spider will easily catch the insect. You have seen the spider's web. So every time it will move, it will get more entanglement. So whatever steps we are taking, whether it can lead to entanglement or it can lead to enlightenment. So that is what Krishna is going to discuss here. The more practical aspects of Karma Yoga. That's why it is said that action in Krishna consciousness means basically Krishna is going to talk about akarma, means action that will lead to liberation, freedom, and tranquility. So what is the acronym we are going to see today? The acronym we have to remember is STEP, S-T-E-P. So S stands for we are staying in this world, like a lotus flower is staying in the world. We are staying in this world. Krishna is not telling to escape from this world. And Krishna is also talking about I am not only the doer. There are behind the screen, there are two more doers. There are three doers. Whenever an activity is performed, apart from myself, there are two more doers behind the screen. And third one is, if we understand these three doers, we become spiritually matured. And when you are spiritually matured, you have a different kind of vision which you see the world. That's called equal vision. And when such kind of spiritual transcendentalists, they experience peace within their heart. So these four things we are going to see in today's chapter. So you can see here, step, stay in this world. There are total 29 verses. This is actually basically a small chapter, we can say. There are 29 verses. So stay in the world. Krishna is talking about that you stay in this world, how to do the activities while staying in this world without getting entangled. That is verses from 1 to 12. Because if you don't have this knowledge and you just do it, you will get entangled. And then Krishna is talking about the background players, the three doers, 13 to 16. And while we understand that I am not the only person doing, there are two more doers. Then it is developing into a spiritual equal vision, which is talking about 17 to 26. And when you have developed such kind of spiritual vision, then you will really attain peace in this world while living in this world. That is last three verses, 27, 28, 29. And the 27, 28 talks about the preview of 6th chapter, which is Dhyana Yoga, or the aspects of Ashtanga Yoga is discussed there. So first acronym step S. S means stay in the world. So verse number 1 to 12, Krishna is talking about staying in this world. So as we know, Arjuna is still confused. Arjuna is seeking enlightenment from Krishna from the chapter 2. Sishyasteham sadimam tvam prapannam. I am confused about my duty. Please enlighten me what is right and what is wrong. Tell me what is right I should do. So that confusion is still with Arjuna. So despite Krishna's explanation in chapter 3, Arjuna still considered work and renunciation to be mutually exclusive path. So whatever Krishna has explained in the chapter 3, Arjuna is considering that work is one category and renunciation is again another category, another path, two different paths. So now Krishna elaborates on how individual who works in spiritual consciousness is automatically elevated to the platform of renunciation. That means if you are working in spiritual consciousness, like when you are thinking, your attitude is spiritual, still you are engaging in work, that means automatically you are on the path of renunciation. That means working, but at the same time you are in renunciation mode, akarma. If one engages in righteous work, dharma, offering the results to God, and while keeping alert of the ultimate goal that I have to go back to home, back to Godhead, then such work becomes worship. We all know, many people in India, they say, like, what is Gita teaching about? They say Gita teach about work is worship. They say work is worship. That is correct. That is not wrong. But when work will become worship is very important. Work will become worship when you offer the results of your work to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. That's why here it is read that while keeping alert to the ultimate work, offering the results to God. So when you do some work and as an offering to the Lord, then that work becomes worship. That means what? How you offer the results to God? By our work, we should try to satisfy the Lord. Like by our going to job, we are trying to satisfy our family because we go earn the money for what? To satisfy our family, to satisfy their needs. So they become happy. Same way, by working in bhakti, we want to satisfy somebody. That's why we are doing bhakti or we are doing some work. That is called that, we saw that Sanatana Dharma, the duty of the soul. When you offer it to the pleasure of the Lord, then that same work will become as worship. That will become karma hi puja hai. They say doing work is the actual puja means, that is correct. But when you offer it to the lotus feet of the Lord, your work, the result of your work. For most people, it would be premature and detrimental to sever themselves from worldly relationships and duties in pursuit of spiritual perfection. Thus, the Karma Yoga offers a progressive means of spiritual development while simultaneously staying in the world, just as a lotus leaf is surrounded by water but remains completely dry. One can stay in the world and still remain aloof from its influence. Very important point we have to understand. As we say, Bhagavad Gita is talking about a very high stage. We may not be able to go to that stage immediately. That's why they say that you should not prematurely leave everything and run away. You should work. By working only, you can get purified. And when you get purified, when you offer the results of your work, you get purified. So gradually, from Sakama, as we discussed in the previous chapter also, Sakama Karma Yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga, like that we go, Jnana Yoga. So progressively, when we are in this world, just like the lotus leaf example is given, it is in the water, but still it is completely dry. So the spiritual life means it is teaching us how to live in this world without getting affected by the problems in this world, without getting too much attached, too much disturbed. You are in this world, but at the same time, we have to live like a lotus leaf. And Krishna is giving some practical insights how to live like that. So now we need to understand with some practical example, like work or renunciation. So you can see here two categories are given. Work in devotion means you are doing actually engaging in some work, but with the element of devotion, with bhakti inside. Your consciousness is having devotion, bhakti. Renunciation means stopping the work. Renunciation means you are leaving away everything. So what is the difference? If you are working in devotion, that is our Surupa, or we in the beginning we discussed that Sanatana Dharma. Means Sanatana Dharma means we are actually always, our position is to serve the Lord. Because in the material world also we are serving our family, we are serving our children. Our nature is to serve always. Okay. So now a work in devotion means the same service we are giving to the Lord, God, who is our Supreme Father. So allows us to act in eternal position. Whereas renunciation, you are stopping your service. Because renunciation means everything is still, stand still. So the soul is basically active. So it is difficult to maintain the position of renunciation for a long time. After some time you can be, quiet. But you need to do something to keep yourself engaged. But whereas work in devotion will always keep you engaged. Like if you tell a child to sit always quietly, the child will not sit. But if you give the child some engagement to do, do the coloring, then the child is busy doing something coloring, it will not disturb you also. So should be some service, there should be some engagement. That is our actual Swarupa that will keep us busy and that will keep us healthy also. Renunciation is possible, but it is not possible for everybody, and it is also difficult to maintain. Because this is the question. Arjuna is asking, work in devotion is better or renunciation is better in the beginning? And work in devotion also purifies our heart from all our anarthas. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. It is purifying our heart. But renunciation means it's a stopgap solution. It's a temporary solution. Because you are renouncing very early, without maturity, it will not purify your heart. And the third difference is it is a joyful process. When you do something for the God, you feel so much satisfaction in your heart. After doing some seva to God, after that whole day, you feel something, you did something very useful in your life, something very fruitful. We can know that people, when they go to the temple, do some seva to the Lord, that day they feel very happy because your senses are engaged in some kind of seva. But here in renunciation, because there is no seva, you are trying to artificially restrain your senses, then there is a struggle, internal struggle. Sometimes the senses can demand more sense enjoyment. So work in devotion is also actually complete renunciation, because you are not doing anything for yourself, but you are doing for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. But here renunciation is actually incomplete renunciation. And Krishna says here, when somebody will work in devotion, in bhakti, he will quickly attain the Supreme. He will go back to attain the goal very quickly. But whereas in renunciation, which is like a dry process, it may take many births to actually achieve the Supreme destination. So these are some of the differences, which is very important. Why we have to be very active in our service to the Supreme Lord, so that we get purified and achieve our destination. So how to act in Karma Yoga? 5.7, Arjuna is again thinking, okay, this is all fine. You are saying work in devotion. How should I act? 5.7 to 12. Work becomes yoga or worship when we are keeping our mind and senses under control. Okay, so our mind is a central software. The computer or our phone, everything acts according to the software. The software is not good, the hardware will not work properly. So for spiritual life also, the mind and senses should be under control. That's 5.7. Act without attachment, and you should not too much hanker for the result in beforehand. Act with body, mind, and senses. Karmana, manasa, vacha, only for the purpose of purification. We should think that I have to purify ourselves, purify myself. There are, like they say, there are two ways to see this world. One is the way which we can see this way as a hotel, or we can see other ways as a hospital. What is the difference between hotel and hospital? When we go to hotel, we always command the server, no, you give me this. There, our enjoyment is actually the center. So we expect the server to serve us, you order whatever you like and you just enjoy. So the way of seeing hotel is actually, we are the enjoyer. But see, if you take living in this world, it's like a hospital. Means in hospital, what we do? We go for purification. Purification means our disease should be cured. There the doctor will command, you take this food, don't take this food. Okay, you should walk this much, do this exercise by physiotherapist. Why we are doing all these things? Even though it is little bitter, we are doing because we want to recover our good health. So spiritual life also, when we want to recover our good spiritual consciousness, what we should do? We should actually cooperate with the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, so that we get purified, and then we can have a healthy, happy life in spiritual consciousness. So that is the result here. When we are working that, see, sometimes it may be little hard or little, bitter also. But Krishna says in 18th chapter also, anything done for spiritual progress is bitter in the beginning, but it will end like nectar in the end. But whatever done for sense enjoyment, it is like nectar in the beginning, but at the end it will become very bitter. Bitter or poison. Krishna exactly uses the word poison. So beginning austerity may be a little difficult, but over a period of time if you do, you enjoy happiness inside by your good habits, by your good character, by your good thoughts. Eventually, your mind will change and you can experience happiness and peace. So that's why it is said that the beginning always we need to have some kind of inspiration and motivation to develop our spiritual life. Once we are coming to a stable platform, then we will get inspiration from within to perform better. So here you can see the result of such karma yoga, where our mind and senses are controlled. The performer is unaffected by sinful action. There is no more any sinful action coming to them. He is dear to everyone and everyone is dear to him. A person who is in spiritual consciousness, he actually sees everybody dear to him. There is not much enemy to him. He does not have jealousiness towards others. Same way, because his mind is there, they say that the world is like a mirror. If you are good to everybody, everybody will be good to you. So if you are spiritual, you are dear to everyone, and as a result, everyone is dear to the person who is spiritually situated. And what happens? He is always in peace, attains peace, and no anxiety over the result. So this is the way we are training the mind. This is an art. The art by which our mind, the anxiety can be reduced by a process of this karma yoga. And Arjuna is again thinking, how can be detached from actions which I performed or performed my be? So Krishna is saying you should be detached, but I am doing some action. I am thinking I am doing. That's why I am attached. How can I be detached? Now Krishna will open up the next topic. Don't think only you are doing. Now if you do a company, if you are having a company, you are getting profit. So you have a partner, three partners. Then actually what happens, whatever the profit goes to all the three partners. You cannot take yourself. So here also Krishna is saying, don't think you are only doing. There are many things behind the screen. There are three doers. So in that way, if you see that, you can see that for me, I am not the only doer. So I am not going to be attached to my work. So what are the three doers? While living in this world, however, one can easily assume the mentality that they are the director. Like we think that I am the center of this world or I am the director, the controller and the breadwinner of my family. Naturally, we think like that. In reality, Krishna explained that there are three doers in any activity. Any action we do, whether we are eating, sleeping, or going to work, or talking, there are three things involved. Three doers are involved. What is that? The individual soul within us. The second is the super soul, the Paramatma within us. And the third is material nature, which is a Prakriti. So that means without this three triangle, no activity can be done. Individual soul, super soul, and material nature. How all the three are involved, we are going to see in the following slides. What to speak of controlling the results of our activities? We are even barely not able to control physical and mental tools which we perform those activities. See, the individual soul can only desire. So desire means any kind of desire we get, the soul will desire. Then how the second doer will function? The desire is sanctioned by God. Like I want to go to America or I want to enjoy this. That is a desire. But how it will become result? Some people desire to go, it is materializing, they are going to some countries. Some people are not. So that as soon as you desire, it should be sanctioned by God. If it is sanctioned by God, then only the desire will happen. Otherwise, the desire will not happen. So the God means who is residing with us heart as Paramatma. So the second doer is super soul who is sitting in our heart. So the first doer is soul which will desire. Who is sanctioning the desire is actually super soul. Then there should be an ability to perform that activity. There should be a capability to execute the desire. That is done through the agency of Prakriti or material nature. So you can understand there are three doers now, which arranges the necessary facilities. Like if you want to see, I want to watch a movie. Now you want to watch the movie, then the Paramatma sanctions, you are able to go. But what are the resources? There should be a screen, there should be a projector, so many things, or a TV screen or something. So that resources is called material nature. The material nature facilitates your enjoyment when the super soul will approve your desire, okay, which arranges the necessary facilities. Just as an infant lacks the ability to ride a bike, but can still pretend to do so with the help of stabilizers in this world, the individual soul is constantly supported by the super soul in the heart, who provides the knowledge, inspiration, and facilities to function. Example is given, like we all know all the child, when they first take a small bicycle, they cannot balance the bicycle. So what they do, there is a stabilizer at the both side of the wheel. On the either side of the wheel, there is two small wheels called stabilizers. So the child can easily drive. So the two stabilizers, the child may think that I am riding the bicycle, but if you remove the stabilizer, the child will fall down. So what are the stabilizers we are talking here about? The two extra stabilizers. The center wheel is the soul. The extra stabilizer by which the child is riding is, one is a super soul, one is a material nature. So basically for any activity, we are thinking I am the only Karanakarta. No, there are actually three. One is the super soul who is sanctioning, and the other is the material nature who is facilitating our enjoyment. So this knowledge of the three doers is very, very important. So who is the real doer? Conditioned soul thinks that he is complete doer of his action, but he is not. He is simply a witness of his activities. Like we are watching, movie, we are like witnessing. So the soul is only desiring, not is desiring, but everything is executed by the material nature under the permission of super soul. So who is responsible for the action? Krishna is not responsible, and man proposes, God disposes. So how do we understand this from the following verse here? How man proposes, God disposes. See, here you see, the soul is desiring. The soul desires to enjoy independent of God, so it is in the material world. So always the soul is having a freedom. Freedom means it can do whatever it wants. There is a freedom. Krishna is giving us a freedom. So you can desire, now I want to chant God's name or I want to watch a movie. That freedom always with us. God will not touch that freedom. So when you desire to do something, then the super soul will see whether you should enjoy, whether I should approve or not. How does the super soul sanction? There's a criteria. The super soul does not sanction your desire just by whimsically. No, I know him, so I will sanction. Not like that. The super soul sanctions your desire based on your karmic credit. Means whether how much papa, how much punya you did, accordingly, the desire will be sanctioned or rejected. If you have enough credit, the super soul will sanction you. Even if you don't pray to God, if you want to get very good profit in the business, if you have good karma in the previous life, automatically you will get good profit. That's why you can see atheists also flourishing in this world materially. I think financially or maybe intelligently they are studying good, and maybe we may be amazed. This person never goes to praise to God, and but he is so much enjoying the affluence. How come? Because whatever his desire is there, it is being sanctioned by the super soul based on his previous karmic credit. On the other hand, maybe a person is already praying to God, but maybe he's not getting sanctioned for his desire. because he does not have enough credit in the balance. So Krishna does not sanction for one reason, that it's not good for him, or he does not have enough balance. So anything can happen. Sometimes you can see an atheist also suffering. Sometimes atheist is flourishing. Sometimes we see a good people also flourishing. Sometimes we see good people also suffering. All the possibilities are possible, but the reason is only one. As soon as you desire, the soul will desire. The super soul either will approve or reject your desire based on your karmic credit. If you have karmic credit and the super soul will sanction, what happens? The material nature comes into picture. The resources. The material nature helps you to enjoy that desire what you have. So carry out the actions to suit the desires. Accordingly, it will facilitate for you to enjoy this desire. Like you want to travel to a very nice, beautiful place, very far away place. Then you go for a visa and so many things. Then super soul will sanction, then only you get all the things favorable. Otherwise, maybe on the day of travel, something wrong will happen in your family. You may not be able to enjoy as per your plan. So the super soul will sanction and the material nature will accordingly allow. So Jiva as Atma, we discussed from second chapter, it will desire, and the Ishvara will approve or reject based on your karma credit. Based on the Ishvara order and the sanction, the Prakriti will actually facilitate your enjoyment, help your enjoyment. So Jiva becomes, when Krishna will order, the Prakriti will do for you, then you enjoy. That time the soul becomes temporarily happy, but the desire is not satisfied. He wants more and better. So as soon as our desire becomes satisfied, what happens? We want to enjoy more. The more desires come. That is the way the mind is programmed. The mind is programmed that when you enjoy something, as soon as you enjoy, the desire is becoming greed. I want to enjoy more and more, same thing. If I eat today one rasagulla, after 2 days, I want 2 more rasagullas. After that. So the desire to enjoy becomes more and more in the form of greed. He wants more, and in a better way. Now I go to enjoy in this hotel. Now after 5 times, I want to go to a better hotel to enjoy better, much more relishable food, much more better ambience than this. Now people sometimes travel 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers just to go for one restaurant because they say the food is very good there. So this is how, as soon as we enjoy our desire, we get some happiness. By that happiness, what do we want? We want to enjoy more and more and more better. By that way, the jiva gets entangled in this material world, trying to enjoy and trying to suffer sometimes the results of the bad action. What happens if the jiva desires and Krishna, the God, rejects it? So 2 things happens, right? In our world, in our journey so far, we can see that so many things we desired, something has happened and something is rejected also. We know that, right? From our own life, if we verify, there are many desires which are fulfilled, and there are many desires still not fulfilled for us. We are thinking to God also, no, God, why you are not fulfilling my desires? I am praying so many days. So when it is getting rejected, it's also based on karmic credit. That time the jiva becomes frustrated and hopeless. So if you see a clock, there is a pendulum. One side it goes this side, and the other side it goes this side. So sometimes we are happy, enjoying in this world. Sometimes we become frustrated, hopeless. Sometimes people see that nothing is in favor of them. They even go to the extent that they commit suicide. Say they do not know that there are 2 more doers behind the screen. I am not able to enjoy my life as per my desire because I don't have enough karmic credit on my balance. That's why we say man proposes, God disposes. Means why does God dispose your desire? Why? Because you don't have enough karmic credit. So we can say God is not responsible for my suffering or enjoyment. Actually, I am responsible for my suffering and enjoyment because whatever credit I have, according to a judge, like God is like a judge. If you go to a judge, there are like a case, criminal case or civil case, we can say. After hearing the both side of the statements, for one person, the judge is saying, give this person so much compensation because he's affected. For the other person, he's saying you have to give him compensation and you have to go to jail for 2 years. So if you say the judge is partial for this, no, judge is not partial. Judge is seeing what mistake this person has done and is giving punishment to him. And he's seeing other person, how much is affected because of this person, and he's giving compensation to him. So like that, if you see any government is running, there is 2 departments. One is a welfare department, one is a criminal department. For the government, there is no difference that, okay, welfare department is important, criminal department is not important. No. For government, it is out of 10 departments, it is one department. This is one department, this is one department. They allocate money for this, they allocate money for this for running. But when you follow the law of the country as a good citizen, you come under government's welfare department. But when you break the law of the government, then automatically you come under the criminal department. Okay, so we cannot say government is partial. The government is acting according to the law of the country. Same way, Krishna has put certain conditions in Bhagavad, the scriptures, that is called dharma. Whatever the codes Krishna, God has given, that's called dharma. When you follow that dharma, you become a good citizen and you get good karmic balances and whatever you desire happens. But when you ignore the dharma and you act according to your own whims, then you get negative reaction or negative balance by which your desires don't get fulfilled and you end up in suffering. So one thing we should understand, God is actually, he is like a judge. He just sees whether you have a karmic balance. So even if you are an atheist, if you don't pray to God, if you have enough karmic credit, Krishna will sanction as per your desire. You will get maybe good aishwarya, good wealth, good education, good family, without praying to God. That's why not all people, even though they pay to Lord Saraswati, Ma Saraswati, not everybody excel in studies. But there are people who don't pray to her, but still they are excelling in studies because that is as per our destiny. But by praying, you always get their mercy. But what is in the past karmic credit, that has to be, definitely we have to face those consequences. So desire accepted, you enjoy through material nature. Desire rejected, you become frustrated because you don't have that. That is what three doers meaning. So how to purify these desires? Because we said everything is coming from the software. See, our body is acting according to our mind. The mind is more stronger than the body. So now all the desires does not come from the body. The desires come from the mind. Now I know I should not have bad desires. That's not good because it will give me bad reaction. So I want to have good desires. Good desires give us good reaction and happiness. So we cannot live without desire. Okay. We cannot live without, because without desire, our main function of our mind is to desire. So here very important thing is how to purify our desire. Because without desire, we are like stones. We cannot live a life like that, so dry without desire. But always we can purify our impure desires. If you think this desire is not good, it's a bad desire, we can purify. But always it is good. We have healthy desires. We have good desires. So how do we purify our desires, whichever is in our mind? So Krishna is actually giving a very wonderful formula. Cheto darpana marjanam bhavamaha davagni nirvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam, Vidya Vadu Jeevanam, Anandambudi Vardhanam, Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam, Sarvatma Snapanam, Paramvijayate, Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Okay, I will read the translation. Glory to Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Now you can see the underline, which cleanses the heart of all dust accumulated for years. That's why now if I have a BP or cholesterol, I go to the pharmacy, I take a medicine. But my heart is contaminated with so much evil desires or bad desires. How do I purify? If I go to a pharmacy or to a doctor, they don't have any prescription for that. To purify your heart from all these desires, bad desires, which cleanses the heart from all dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditioned life of repeated birth and death. We are in the cycle according to our karma. This Sankirtana movement, what is this chanting of Krishna's holy name? Like you can say, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtana, is a benediction or blessing for the humanity at large because it spreads the rays of benediction moon. It is a life of transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always. So it gives us happiness. It gives us peace. It purifies our desire. So the Lord has blessed with a special formula to purify and clear our heart from all the contamination is by chanting the holy name of the Lord. So that's why it said that whether we are Christian or Hindu or Muslim, we see a Muslim also, they chant 99 names of Allah. They have a bead in their hand, always they are rolling. And the Christians also chant Christ's name on the rosary bead. And we are also supposed to chant the Lord's name. And Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtana means we chant the holy name of this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. And regularly chanting, it will help us to get all these things. It will purify our heart, cleanse the heart, and it will also help us to escape from the cycle of birth and death. Second point, and this is a prime blessing or benediction to the human society. And also it is a giving us full of knowledge within us. Our transcendental spiritual knowledge will develop. It increases our happiness, transcendental bliss within us, and it is enabled us to fully taste the nectar of the. It will help us to taste the actual happiness of what we are hankering for, life after life, which we are always anxious. So this is one such formula which is very, very important and very practical and very easy. We can say it is a shortcut to purify our desires. So that part is completed now. So we cannot stop our desires, but we can always purify our desires. So now Arjuna is pondering, how does a person in knowledge act? If a person is having all this knowledge, how will he act? So here is a point, which is third section of this chapter is coming. The equal vision, 5.18 to 26. If a person is having a proper knowledge, how do we know he's having proper knowledge, spiritual knowledge? He has an equal vision. Verse number 17 to 26. Since the super soul resides in every living being, the advanced spiritualist is able to see life, every life form, be it plant, animal, or human, as a temple of God. That's why we say in our culture, we do namaskar. Why do we do namaskar? Because it is not for the person in the opposite. We are actually showing our obeisances because there is a Paramatma within his body also. So is it that Paramatma only in the human being? No. The Paramatma, the super soul, is within all the living entities, whether it's an insect, plant, or animal. Wherever there is a life, there is a soul. And wherever there is a soul, there is a super soul accompanying the soul with its journey. So a spiritual person who is spiritually advanced, he will see that super soul is present every form in every life, and he will try to respect. He will try to respect all the living entities. In this way, utmost respect is given to every living entity. So we should know that if somebody is not respecting, they are respecting only a certain class of people or a certain living being, we should know he is not spiritually matured enough. Because a spiritually elevated person, according to Krishna, he's saying verses 17, Pandita Samadarshina. A learned person will see everything in equal vision. So different bodies with different qualities are produced according to one's past action. According to our karma, we got different body. Maybe I am dark color, somebody is fair color. They have different kind of shades, color, beauty, and all those things. But spiritually mature person, he does not see the external form. He does not see this person is beautiful, I will respect him. This person is ugly, I will not respect him. No, he is seeing that this is soul which has taken its body according to its past action, and there is also Paramatma along with the soul, super soul. So everybody is same in spiritual quality. Thus, the spiritualist is not only free from racism, nationalism, ageism, and sexism, but also speciesism. So, how does a spiritual life help? If everybody will adopt spiritual life, they will not differentiate between person. He is a black man, he is a white man. There is like in America, they fight the black and white, they fight. In India, they fight that I am belonging to a higher caste, you are lower caste. No. A spiritual person does not see external designation like caste or from which country we belong or from which race, which nationalism. I am India, you are from Pakistan. Not based on religion or I am a Hindu, you are a Christian. No. A spiritual person will see not male, not female, because male or female, both are soul. So this is an elevated stage of seeing people. We don't discriminate people based on their external dress. We always try to see in the spiritual vision is they are soul, part and parcel of God, and of course Paramatma is there. In that way, the equal vision is there. So vision of spiritualist, very important slogan which Krishna is saying. Sometimes our scriptures are condemned that it is promoting caste system. If caste system is promoted, why does Krishna give this verse? Vidyavane sampanne brahmini gavyastini suni chaiva swapakecha pandita samadarshina. Somebody is actually criticizing the scripture that it is promoting this varnashram, varnashram, that Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. We should always quote this verse actually. Krishna is saying Vidya, the humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge. When we say Vidya, we say true knowledge. Brahmane Gaves, he will see with equal vision. Equal vision, how does that person see? Brahmana means one who is having the good knowledge, spiritual knowledge, okay? He is seeing the cow, an animal, elephant also an animal, a dog, and a dog eater. Pandita, Brahmane Gavyastini, Suni Chaiva Swapakecha, Pandita Samadarshana. The word is Samadarshana. Equal vision. He is seeing as an equal vision. You can see the picture here. When Pandita, learned person is seeing, he is seeing everybody as a soul and super soul. They are seeing. If an elephant is there also, you don't see only the externally seeing. This is an Atma. This is a living force. This living force is coming from God. Okay, and there is a Paramatma here. So whether it's a dog or animal or humans, they are able to see with an equal vision spiritually. Of course, materially, there's a distinction. If you are sitting in a seat, you cannot tell the elephant also to come and sit in the same seat. Materially, there may be distinction, but spiritually, they are saying that everybody is equal. Everybody is actually equal. There is no discrimination. There is no exploitation based on the external. So this verse is a very, very important verse. Chapter 5, verse number 18. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmini Gavyastini Suni Chaiva Sapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. This is the thing which we need to explain to people, that Bhagavad Gita does not promote any specific caste. It is only the Brahmana is actually a person with a learned knowledge. Pandita means a learned person. Okay, that is very important. Pandita. Pandit means learned person. Okay. Now Arjuna is thinking, my dear Lord, one who doesn't follow spiritual life is indeed foolish. So much is there advantage of spiritual life. We have equal vision. We know I am not only the doer, there is a Paramatma and there is also a material nature. Tomorrow, when something is not happening as per my desire, at the time, because of spiritual knowledge, I know I don't have enough karmic balance. That's why Krishna did not approve my desire. It's okay. Because I don't have, because I'm not deserving this. Because I don't have the karmic. So you are not dejected when something does not happen as you desire. So all these things, you become very mature. Then Krishna is saying that if hearing all these things, then somebody is not taking spiritual life so seriously in this life, they are actually really foolish. Indeed, is foolish. So that verse is coming, which Arjuna is saying. Krishna is saying here, sense pressure, what we are enjoying, the sense pressure through our eye, ear, nose, tongue, and skin, these sense pressures are temporary. This verse is quoting that, Ehi samsparsha jabhoga, dukkha yonaya evate, adi antavantu kaunteya, na teshu ramate buddha, 5.22. Now you may think that why in this Bhagavad Gita, this sense enjoyment is condemned. See, here we can always understand there are two paths in our life, either enjoyment or enlightenment. Enlightenment means when you want to be enlightened with wisdom, you cannot do petty enjoyments because something you want higher, the lower things has to be given up. Like an example, somebody want to march ahead in the career. Like they say that Narayana Murthy, Infosys founder, his wife used to say that he always thinks about Infosys, even in the dreams. And from that person, you cannot expect a normal family life, like he can talk to us, like that she was telling. And like you see, Dr. Abdul Kalam, he was always thinking about space science. So somebody who wants wisdom and spiritual life, their thoughts will be so much engrossed in developing their wisdom, their knowledge. So it is not that they will not have family life, they can have, but they will not enjoy in excessive sense enjoyment. Because as soon as you divert your path to sense enjoyment, your enlightenment will go away. That's why Krishna is saying here, Ei samsparsha bhoga. Bhoga means enjoyment. Samsparsha means touch with the sense objects. Samsparsha. Sparsha means touch. That what will happen, as soon as the senses come in touch with the sense object and you enjoy that bhoga, like you hear, put a nice perfume, you hear nice music or something, just for your own enjoyment, not related to devotion. Dukkha yonaya evate, that are actually wounds of dukkha. That means in future, we need to suffer the reaction. Dukkha yonaya evate. Because why it is dukkha? Adi antavantu kaunte. They have a starting and they have an ending. It starts like, nectar in the beginning and it will end like a poison. Adi antavantu kaunteyu. Na teshu ramate buddha. Buddha means intelligent people. They are not very much hankering on this kind of enjoyment. But they will have a hanker for enjoyment in spiritual platform with connection to God. So the translation of this verse goes like this. An intelligent person does not take part in the source of misery. Intelligent, na teshu ramate buddha. Buddha means intelligent person. They don't take part in the source of misery, which is that, which are due to contact with material senses. Ehi samsparsha ja bhoga. They don't relish this. Oh son of Kunti, why? Adi antavantu kaunteya. Such pleasures have a beginning and end. And so the wise man does not delight in them. So if at all we want to develop spiritually, we need to regulate it. So it is not said that we should suppress. Suppressing the enjoyment will lead to madness. Krishna is not telling to suppress. He is telling to regulate it. How do we regulate? There are 4 regulatory principles which is said in the scriptures. No meat eating. That's a regulation. Don't eat non-vegetarian because you are trying to regulate your senses. No meat eating, no illicit sex. Sex not outside the marriage partner. Within husband and wife, it's acceptable, but not outside the marriage with another partner, either husband or wife. So that is actually adharmic activity. Okay? So we are trying to regulate, trying to control our wild desires. No intoxication, not taking intoxication whereby you fall into more illusion. No kind of, all this kind of intoxicant subject like, wine, beer or something like that. And no gambling. No gambling means you should not try to earn the money in a shortcut way whereby you become so duplicitous and you will go in a wrong path. So these are the ways by which you can try to curb down your sense enjoying propensity by following this practically 4 regulative principles. No meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling. So that will almost take you away from this sense enjoyment propensity, because that is having a adi antavantu kaunteya. You want to enjoy, there is a starting and there is a ending. After ending, 2 days that senses will be quiet, and third day it will ask, let me enjoy more than what I enjoyed on 2 days. So that is what we are. Indeed, Arjuna thinks, miserable, my dear Lord, how to find a true peace. Now, if people are so much behind mad for enjoyment, today's world, the younger generation still they are, when we see our generations, 2-3 generations, our father, grandfather, definitely we can see their enjoyment propensity was not up to our level. It was less, but they were a little more peaceful than us. Then the next generation, we are seeing little more, the enjoyment went up, the peace went down. Now our generation, we are like 50-50. We are seeing little bit peace and little bit of enjoyment. Now we are seeing the coming generation, they are fully focused on enjoyment. They don't want to talk about God. Then they're seeing they are always disturbed. They are like always restless in their mind. You can see that. So the more we have in the enjoyment mode, the peace will come down. So indeed, miserable, my dear Lord, how to find a true peace. But what we are looking in our life, we are looking for peace and happiness. But more you are entangled in this material enjoyment, you will become more restless. You will hanker for more enjoyment and you will be disturbed too much. So it is incompatible things. Now Krishna is giving how to achieve that peace, which we are all hankering. So last verse, the peace formula is called, this verse is called the peace formula. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka mahesharam surdam sarva bhutanam jnatva mam santim richati. 5.29, our last verse in Bhagavad Gita is focusing how a person can achieve peace. How do we achieve peace? Krishna is saying a person in full consciousness of me means he should be full conscious of God. How do you know? How do you be full conscious of God? Knowing to me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities. Bhokta means enjoy. God enjoys also. If we enjoy, imagine our Creator, how much he should enjoy. He will enjoy 1,000,000 times better than us. So Bhokta means he's the enjoyer. Enjoys what? Whatever sacrifice we do. Yajna, we do a lot of yajna. Now we chant Krishna's name. That is a kind of Sankirtana yajna. He enjoys that. The more you chant, he relishes. He enjoys. And yajna tapasam, like we do this tapasya. Tapasya, we said these 4 regulative principles, getting up early in the morning, like Ramadan, the people are fasting from morning 6 to evening 6, sunrise to sunset. That is a tapasya. It's not easy thing to stay without water for 30 days. But because it is said in Quran, they are following. That is called tapas. Who is enjoying the tapas? When we are doing this, why we are doing this tapas? Because God feels happy because my son is following what I am saying. Like a father says something and the son follows, the father becomes happy. Now the scriptures are the words of God. When we follow, God enjoys that. That's why Krishna is saying, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. I enjoy your yajna, your chanting and your tapas. And who am I? Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. All the worlds you see here, whether the earthly planet or the 9 planets we see or by your telescope, and the millions of universes, the galaxy, the Milky Way, everything, I am the Maheshwar. Ishwar means control. Maheshwar means supreme controller. Sarvaloka, all the loka, I am the supreme controller. Sarvaloka Maheshwar. We should understand this. I am the controller. And I am also, maybe we think, oh, he is the controller of all the world. That maybe he may be like Hitler. Because Hitler killed all the Jews because he controlled them. But Krishna is telling, no, I am not like Hitler. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, but even though I am proprietor of this entire cosmic manifestation, Milky Way, galaxy, all these millions and millions of planets, Surdam Sarva Bhutana, I am actually your well-wisher. I always think what is good for you. I always do what is good for you. Even sometimes you may get some distress in your life, but I always see that ultimately you get good things. So I am well-wisher for not only human beings. Surdam Sarva Bhutana means I am the well-wisher, your heart-to-heart friend as a Paramatma. Sarva Bhutana means for all the living entities. For all living entities, I always think good for you. So somebody knows that there is God. He is the enjoyer. He enjoys our tapas. He enjoys our sacrifices. And he is the proprietor of this entire cosmic manifestation. This world did not come by accident. There is a proprietor, and that proprietor is always wishing good for me, and he is my heart-to-heart friend. If somebody will understand, not theoretically realize this Surdam Sarva Bhutana, that kind of jnani, jnatva, ma, who knows about me, this knowledge, Santi Mrichati, he will attain peace. See, a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor, Surdam, and well-wisher of all living beings, entities, Surdam Sarvabhutana, attains peace. This is how we can attain peace. There is no other way. We cannot try to live in the kingdom of God without God. Our problem is we want to live in the kingdom of God without God. We want to enjoy the resources of God in this planet without God. So we have to always stay connected with God. And Bhagavad Gita is one such holy scripture which will inspire us and will give us practical tips and guidance how to be always stay connected with God. Because you are living in God's planet. Not this planet is not created by us. And whatever resources in this planet is not created by us. Everything is a proprietorship of God. So this is a spiritual means to understand I am spirit soul and there's a supreme spirit who is a well-wisher for me. And Nyatva, one who knows this, about me, that I am the proprietor, enjoyer, controller. I am the CEO of this entire case. Controller, enjoyer, owner. Santi Mrichati. He will get peace, not other people. Okay. So one who tries to enjoy this world without me, they will always be restless. So Bhoktaram Ijna Tapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Surdam Sarva Bhutanam. So when you know these three things, Bhoktaram Ijna Tapasam 1, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram 2, Surdam Sarva Bhutanam. When you know this, then you can attain peace. Okay, this is very important. Okay. Now we think that we are God. I am God. When you say I am God, you will lose your peace. So then an overview of Ashtanga Yoga glimpse is given, which we'll discuss in chapter 6 about the Ashtanga Yoga system, where there are 8 steps there. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, all those things are there. We'll discuss in coming week. So the acronym which we discussed here, we have to stay in this world, which is the Lord's creation. At the same time, we should also be not detached from this world. How do we get detached? By proper training. What is the training? We should get spiritual knowledge that we are not only doers. There are 2 more doers behind us. We only desire, but the desire is sanctioned or rejected by the super soul within based on our karmic credit. And then when it is approved, then the Prakriti, material nature, will facilitate for our enjoyment. Knowing this, if something does not happen as per our desire, then we can always know that we did not have the enough karmic credit to get that. Otherwise, we may get dejected and depressed when our desire is not fulfilled. So that spiritual knowledge will help us to live in a very peaceful situation. And when we have that kind of knowledge, also when we are developing spiritually, we don't discriminate people based on their externally dressed like their body, color, nationality, race, caste. No, we see them as a soul, part and parcel of God. And there is also a super soul, Paramatma within them. We see with the equal vision, Pandita Samadarshina. And Krishna also says that if you are going too much into sense enjoyment, you will be always restless and disturbed because Adi Antavantu Kaunteya. There is a beginning and end. When in the beginning it is like nectar, but in the end it will become like poison. So if you develop yourself spiritually, by developing your spiritually, you should know that I am the proprietor, I am the enjoyer, I am also your well-wisher. If you know that all this truth about me, then you will be in peace. So Krishna is ending this with the peace formula. And then the last chapter, that means next chapter, 6th chapter, actually will be about Dhyana Yoga, which will be again discussing how to focus the mind on like meditation. Krishna talks about the meditation, distractions, reducing the distraction and enhancing our concentration. So that is discussed in Dhyana Yoga, which will be coming next week, Friday evening, 6 p.m. We will discuss. And this summary of this chapter, I will post it in the WhatsApp group. When you are free, you can go through this. And if you have any doubts, you can ask question on that. And the summary also I will post on the group. You can go through that. Thank you. And I have taken references for many Gita Live evolved today and this also. And next coming week will be Dhyana Yoga. We always hear about meditation. And the meditation is so famous, whether you are a Christian, Hindu, or Muslim, many people do meditation because they know that mind can be focused, mind can be controlled, mind can be pacified through meditation. So that meditation, Krishna is going to talk the art of meditation. That will be in chapter 6 next week. So, Hare Krishna. Thank you all for attending today's session. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, any doubts you have? I think the most important point is the peace formula. We always remember that this world, there is a proprietor who is controlling and also who is actually, he is our well-wisher. That is very important. When you know God is our well-wisher, we will always not be disturbed. We don't get angry with God. Otherwise, you know what happens? When we desire something and God will not fulfill, we become angry with him. That God is not favoring me, all those things. So when you know is Surdam Sarva Bhutana, we become very, the whole thing is targeting on our mind. When our mind is getting that knowledge, spiritual wisdom, the mind vibration will reduce. It does not fluctuate, it does not get depressed or disturbed. So gradually the mind comes into the full maturity. Like if you see a circus, initially they bring a lion, it is very ferocious, but they will train the lion. Gradually they train the lion, and the lion becomes so friendly that the circus person, he will tell the lion to open the mouth and he will leave his head inside. The lion will not harm him. Like that, we are training our mind so that the mind will be always our friend. It will not put us into anxiety. In 6th chapter, Krishna will tell, if you control your mind will become your best friend. But if you don't control your own mind will become your own enemy. So this mind, handling this mind is very, very important. Whether we are an old generation or new generation, handling our mind is very important. Handling our mind is not possible materially by studying material subjects or taking some medicine, not possible. Handling our mind properly is by spiritual knowledge. Spiritual knowledge comes from our holy scriptures. So in that way, our holy scriptures can help us to connect to God and to help us to control our mind also on the path of this devotional life. Hare Krishna. So once again, thank you. And if you have any doubts, please, you can type it in your chat box or you can unmute and you can ask questions. 5 to 10 minutes we will have from now to discuss on this subject on, yes, there is a question on the chat box. When all the three doers all these forces guide us to, when there are three doers should all these force to guide us karmic credits. What are karmic credits? It's a very good question. Karmic credits means we have whatever we did in our previous life, because we understand from Bhagavad Gita, this is not our only life. This is what we are seeing visibly, but there we had innumerable lifetimes. So there is something called Sanchita Karma. Sanchita Karma means stored karma. Like if you go to any showroom, you go to Excite here, they have something in the display in the showroom, but there is also a warehouse. Warehouse means the extra stock is put there. So what we are now with the physical body, we are born to certain parents, we have studied, we have earning certain amount of money, financially we are in certain strength, we have got a certain family. This is all called as prarabdha karma, means which is in the showroom. Prarabdha karma means that karma which you are experiencing already, that is called prarabdha karma. Our current life is a result of our prarabdha karma. Now, there are also innumerable lifetimes which we have lived before. That is stored karma, sanchita karma. So, sanchita karma means it is our previous action reaction which is stored. Because in this world, whatever we do, there is action and reaction. There is reaction for everything we do. So, sanchita karma is there as a stored karma. When you desire something, the Paramatma is seeing whether in the sanchita karma, whether you are eligible for what you are desiring. Like you go for a company for interview, what do they see? They see your qualification and experience. Or you go to a shop, you want to buy a certain dress. Say you want to buy a costly saree or a shirt. You have so much desire to buy that. What does the shopkeeper see from you? He will say, this is costing around 25,000. Do you have money to pay for that? If you have money to pay for that, that is called karmic credit. So you pay that 25,000 and you get your saree or dress. But you have only 5,000, but your desire is for 25,000 saree. So the shopkeeper will say, no, you cannot get that. Better go for this one. You have how much you have? 5,000. So go for this dress. It is costing only 5,000 to you. Same thing with us. Our karmic credit is what we have. So Krishna, when we are desiring, is seeing, because see, how to sanction what we desire. There should be some criteria. Simply Krishna cannot sanction whatever we do. Everybody want to become doctor. Everybody, every parent want their child to become doctor. Every parent want their children to be engineer. But why not everybody is becoming doctor and engineer? This world will not work like that. We need all the category of people. We need people who are accountants. We need people who are lawyers. We need people who are artists. So many, all categories required for smooth functioning. So how does Krishna sanction? I want to become a doctor. How does Krishna sanction? In education level, what is your karmic credit? Krishna sees. If it is there, then you go to a medical college, become a doctor. Sometimes in your horoscope also they predict when you're taking birth that you will become a doctor or engineer. If you're good or astrologer, he can predict. Seeing your chart, what career you will take in your life. Lawyer, they will tell you become a lawyer. Sometimes people will say that you will become a scientist, research. So all those things, what is the criteria? Krishna has a criteria. We may all desire the topmost in this world. Everybody desires the topmost enjoyment, topmost facility, everything. But how does Krishna sanction? Your desire is based on your karmic credit. That's why even if you don't pray to God, if you have enough karmic credit, you will get what you want. Because Krishna is not against, that's why we see, as I told you the example, even you see atheists, sometimes they are materially very good. So we are bewildered. How come this person is not praying to God, but everything is happening good in his life? But he will not get peace and happiness. Peace and happiness comes only by spiritual life. Because Bhaktara, Mijna Tapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwar, Surya, he can get material things like good education, or he can get good wealth, or he can be the most beautiful person in the world, good beauty, because of his past karma. But one thing we should always remember, you want to experience peace and happiness in life, that comes from God, not from any other material sources. If material sources will determine your peace and happiness, no need to study Bhagavad Gita. Only you can earn money, and by your money, you can become peace and happy. See, you see now, this Adani is the most wealthiest person, one of the wealthiest person in the world. He's not able to get peace because somebody has put a report on him. He's not able to sleep now. So money cannot buy peace or happiness. We should always remember. Peace and happiness comes from God. We have to note down very clearly. Peace and happiness comes from God. By connecting to God only, you get all these things. That's why spiritual life is very, very important. We are always looking for peace and happiness. Why we are earning money also? For peace and happiness only. But disconnecting from God, you cannot achieve that. So Krishna has a criteria to sanction your desire. That is based on your karmic credits. Based on your previous life, whatever you have stocked, he will sanction. I hope that is making you clear. Yes. And if you are not clear, you can ask. I can explain a little more also. But I think this example makes you very clear. This world is designed like that. This world is a karma bhumi. According to karma, everything happens according to karma. As Krishna says, akarma, vikarma, and karma. 3 things. Okay. So also there are devotees who have expressed their feedback. Thank you for such wonderful class with the practical tips and our lifestyle. Okay, so all the credits goes to the acharyas. They try to explain in a way which we can understand. Otherwise, it's very difficult for us to understand by ourselves. All glories to them. And any other questions anybody has? Okay. If there are no questions further, so please make sure you attend the 6th session. Yes, somebody has a question. Are karmic credits from previous births only? Yes. Whatever, there is a saying, the present is due to the past and the future will be a present. That means 2 things. You are now also creating karma. This karma will be delivered in future. And delivered in future means what we do today, some karma may be delivered after 1 week. Some karma will be delivered after 1 lifetime also. So this karmic deliverance is very complex. We cannot say when which will be delivered. Like they say, if you put a coconut plant, it will take at least 5 to 10 years to grow and give you coconut. But if you put a mustard seed, within 6 months you get mustard. So there are certain karmas which will be delivered immediately in this same lifetime, within the same year also. And there are certain karmas which will be delivered not immediately based on your circumstances. So it is always based on the balance of this universe. Some karmas are delivered instantly, some are delivered delayed. Example, you can see you go to a supermarket, you buy so many things, like you buy some juice, you buy some provision, you buy also some floor cleaner, soap, detergent. When you come to the cashier, after you pay the cash, there's a person who is arranging all the things. So he will not arrange the things as per the order you purchase. Like you purchase first milk, then you purchase detergent. But the person will not put milk and detergent together because it's a food item, this is a chemical item. So he will try to put all the food items in a separate bag, all the detergent, chemicals, all the provisions separate. So like that, this karma will be delivered according to the situations. Some karma will be delivered instantly based on the current situation. Like you do a karma today, after 1 week, you may be getting the result. Sometimes we don't get. Like that's why we say people, sometimes when they are suffering, they are saying, no, this person did so many bad things. See, now see his life, he is experiencing all the reaction. We see that sometimes people suffer, and we know that they were very proud, they were very arrogant, they did a lot of harm to many people, and they see, yes, God is there. See how much he's suffering. People say comment like that. But sometimes also you see people who are doing a lot of bad things, they are also flourishing. That time we lose faith in God, that we are saying, oh, this man doing so many things, but still his life is flourishing. That karma will be delivered later. So both will happen. So what we are now, currently there is accumulated karma, and we are also accumulating karma. So which can be delivered at any time based on this cosmic balance. I think it's clear now. So any other questions? Okay. So thank you for the wonderful questions. Always questions are encouraged. We need not accept anything blindly. If a child is born, is suffering, which we should understand that child did not do any karma. That karma is coming from the previous birth. Because what the innocent child, why he has to suffer? Not for his, and then if he is suffering, then we should label God as cruel. God is cruel because he is putting the innocent child in tremendous suffering. That's why many people become atheists also. We should always know there is a karma for us. Always link for whatever we do. We cannot escape the law of karma. Anyone. We may escape the law of government. We may kill a person, and maybe we don't have any trace and the police did not catch us. But the law of karma will not leave. Anything we do, harm others, it will come. If you harm others, it will be someone will harm us. So this is what our scripture is teaching. You be good, do good, and good things will come. You live according to your dharma, the dharma will protect you. When we protect the dharma, dharma will protect us. So that's very, very important to understand. So that will help us to lead a right life away from all the sinful activities, and also it will help us in future life to go back to God. Hare Krishna. So thank you. And any other questions? Yes, there is one more question. There was a mention that Sri Krishna states to control the kind of food. However, it is different across the world. Yes, yes, very true. Krishna does not say to control the kind. Krishna is saying 3 kinds of food that we'll discuss in chapter 14 when we are discussing 3 modes of material nature. And chapter 17, Krishna specifically gives what kind of food is in sattvic mode, what kind of food is in rajasic mode, what kind of food is in tamasic mode. So that's why you can see when we come to that chapter, we will know that Krishna is recommending like which is favorable for spiritual life. One food maybe is good for your material life, but if you want to come to spiritual life, there are certain foods which are very conducive for spiritual life. So that we will see. Somebody is going for a beauty contest. They don't take so much ice cream, fatty foods, because they know if I take all this, I become very fat and I cannot go for the beauty competition. Somebody is doing a gymnastic. So like that, if you want spiritual life also, there is a diet. So everything has a diet. In material also, people do diet to reduce their weight. So spiritually also there is a diet that Krishna will mention in the 17th chapter. 14th chapter is giving introduction about the 3 gunas. And the 17th chapter, he will give about the 3 kinds of food, which is affecting our mind accordingly. Sattvic food, rajasic food, and tamasic food. So, and Krishna says, sattvic food is very conducive for spiritual life. So, we can see that in 17th chapter when we come, we will have a separate 2-3 slides only mentioning on what are the different kinds of food and which food is recommended if you want to progress spiritually. So, we will discuss about it. Thank you, Madam. So, any other questions? Okay. So, yes, again, one more question. To lead a good life and attain moksha, we have to perform action righteously. However, what is good for some may not be good for others. Yes, very true. What is good for some may not be good for others. Like we say, some countries, they allow abortion, they say it is good. Some countries don't allow abortion, they say it is bad. So, good and bad is very relative term. What is good for me may be not good for others. Very true. That's why we have to stick to Krishna's instruction. Dharmam tu sakshat Bhagavad pranitam. Yamaraj says, what is dharma? What God says is dharma. What God says you do, it's dharma. Why stealing is prohibited? Because God says it is bad. So whatever God says is dharma, otherwise relatively what I may do as good may be bad for others. In one country this is good. One country drinking is good and they are allowing license. One country they are saying drinking is bad and they are prohibiting liquor. So what is good in one country may be good in others. That's correct. So that's why we don't go with this world statement, who is telling what is good. We go according to God's instruction, Dharmam tu Sakshat Bhagavad Pranitam. What God says, that is good. So what God is saying in Bhagavad Gita, now after completing these 18 chapters, we know what God says or what Krishna wants from us. When we follow that, that is good for everybody. So there is no exception to that Krishna said that this person is following it is good for him. But when Krishna said, I am following it is bad for me. No. Whatever is said, it is good. Like, in Quran, they say Ramadan fasting means it's for everyone. So they don't say that, in this country I am there, I cannot fast. No, it is not like that. So what God says, Dharmam tu Sakshat Bhagavad Pranita. What God says, it is always good for us. So let us see that in that angle, when we complete this Bhagavad Gita, we will get the essence of what Krishna wants from us. And when we live according to that, that is good for everybody. Hare Krishna. So any other questions? Okay. So if there are no other questions, thank you all for nice, wonderful questions. See, the questions are always good because by asking questions, not only the person who is asking question is benefited, whoever is attending also, they get benefited by getting more clarity on the subject. So thank you for very good, nice questions posted on the chat box. So encourage everybody to ask questions. If you don't want to speak, you can always type in the chat box as it is as Sanjit. Yes, expressed here. So thank you very much. So whatever I am speaking is from Shastra. So scriptures say we are just repeating like a parrot. So thank you. And we are trying to put the old wine in the new bottle. So the same scripture which is presented 5,000 years ago, we are trying to put it in a new bottle with a new presentation, with some new examples. That's what we are doing to make it more interesting. So thank you for the wonderful questions. And thank you all the participants for your enthusiastic participation week after week. So by your participation, we also get inspiration to speak, to give this knowledge. The listeners are very, very important because they give the inspiration to the speaker also. So thank you for participating, giving your valuable time in hearing this Vani from the Supreme Lord, Bhagavad Gita. And please continue coming, and you will be enlightened and getting encouragement by adopting spiritual life and spiritual instructions. Definitely, that is for true. Hare Krishna. So, if there are no other questions or comments, with all your permission, I will end today's session and see you all next week, same time, 6 p.m. KST local time, Indian time, 8:30 p.m. Hare Krishna. And between you have any doubts also, please feel free to post it in the WhatsApp group. So when we have time, we can definitely reply to any queries which you are posting. Hare Krishna. Pancha kalpataribhasya kripa siddhabhyo paditana pavadebhyo vaishnavebhyo namaha. Ananta Kodi Vaishnava ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you all. Have a wonderful week ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Guru. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.